Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by our great friends at Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios today. Should be a great show. Caleb Sturgis is going to join us. Great to talk to him. Of course, one of the great kickers of all time, All-American. Can't wait to talk to him. I got some good yes, no, where, maybe questions for him. I know doesn't know those are coming. And then so that's today, and then Monday we'll have Coach Spurrier. Then Wednesday we're going to do our special Thanksgiving podcast. So after you have all your tryptophan, you can go ahead and pass out while you're listening to this. But we're going to have a great guest, Greg Sankey. We wanted to have a special guest because not only is it our special Thanksgiving episode, but it's our 300th episode. So we wanted to make sure we had a big time guest, and Greg Sankey does the trick. Of course, we could have Spurrier on again because he's as big time as it gets, as we know. And then on the following Thursday, we're going to have Brandon Spikes. So that'll be the Thursday after the FSU game. So that's the way it all worked out. But it's great that we're having these great guests, Caleb Sturgis, Steve Spurrier, Brandon Spikes, and the commissioner of the SEC, Greg Sankey. A lot of questions for him. I got to work on those questions. Some of them come to you naturally, but some of them you want to go, I want to make sure I get an answer to this specific question. So that's what we've got coming up for you in the future. So it'll be a lot of fun. That'll get us through November, I guess, right? Maybe even to December, or the beginning of December, anyway. So we'll have plenty to talk about. All right, let us get to our process service of Gainesville starting five, which we always do because we love the process service of Gainesville. And Scott Hart does a tremendous job over there. We have enjoyed him being a sponsor. Hope he continues. Please. Just kidding. No, I'm sure he'll be. Well, anyway, don't want to get into work details over this, but no. Anyway, process service of Gainesville, place to go when you need that to happen. And I know people on this that are sponsors here and that have listened to the show are using them, so it's great. It's been good advertising for them. All right. Let's start out with the number one thing right now this week. The number one story is the decommitments. I'm sorry, but it is. It's what everybody feared might happen if Florida got bad and things didn't go well. They're all on defense, which is interesting because defense is what's struggling. And to me, there's a part of you that wants to go, hey, if you didn't want to come here and try to be part of this, then the heck with you. And there's part of you going, please come and be part of this. Florida needs players. And there are a lot of things. There are different reasons for everybody. Sometimes it's that they came in with more NIL money. Don't forget they lost one of them to Georgia, one of them to Auburn. Auburn is a big fear for, I think, Florida because we know that they have a lot of boosters that have a lot of money. And this has been going on forever. They've been buying out coaches for forever. So that's part of it. Sometimes it may be you watch this team play and you said, I don't know that that's what I signed up for. I don't want to be on a team that plays as poorly as they play at times and is disorganizational. And some of it, don't think this isn't true, is what you guys are posting. And I know when Florida loses the game, you're going to post mean things and you're going to be mad. And, I get it. I get that happens. That's part of social media. But part of social media also is that people have, Florida's not the only one with all these staffers, okay? Everybody's got them. Alabama's got them, Georgia's got them, Auburn's got them. Everybody's got all these staffers, and some of them, their only job is to monitor social media. And when it gets really bad at a place, say, "Hey, can you believe what their fans are saying about this school that you committed to?" And sending it to them, and they're going, "Well, I don't know if I want to play there. They hate the coach. He's probably not going to be around." This happens. Now, look, I'm not being critical of anybody. You do what you got to do, what you feel like you got to do, but this is happening, and it's happening. There's a reason for these decommitments. Some of the reasons are different. And Florida still needs to keep this class together to the best it can. I will say this, though, and this is something that maybe you're going to say I'm being hypocritical. Man, my hair is all messed up. But because a lot of the say, look, you've got to keep Billy. He's got this good class coming in, blah, 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 blah. Well, so did Jim McElwain have a good class coming in. He was doing a pretty good job in recruiting. And when they said, hey, we got to get rid of this guy, it has nothing to do with wins and losses. He's not a good fit. And then the death threat things happened. It gave him an excuse to get rid of him then instead of later. But, it's not, if the only reason you are, I'm going to try to say this the right way. If the only reason you are keeping a coach is because he's got a good recruiting class coming in, that's not a good enough reason for me. It shouldn't be a good enough reason. That's one class. Okay. If it's because you believe in what he's doing and he has a good recruiting class coming in and it'll probably stack another one on top of it, that's different. So either you believe in your coach or you don't. If you only believe in this class, this is not what it's about. It's not about one class ever. Remember that. Okay. All right, let's get to number 2 on the process service of Gainesville, starting 5. And that, look, I've said this a million times, and everybody said it, and everybody has answers about what can be done. But Billy is going to have to change some things. But I get the impression, and again, I'm not around him. I'm not around the program. But I do hear things, and I do hear things sometimes from really good sources, and sometimes I hear things from sources that turned out they were wrong. But I have heard several times from people that, this is the way he's going to do it, and it's going to work. It's going to have good results, and eventually you guys are all going to be happy, and you're going to want to give me even more money. I'm not saying he's ever said that, but I'm just saying I get the impression he's going to get a little stubborn with you. And if he does, the only thing I say is, okay, the heat's on you then next year. Personally, I don't think the heat should be on him. Tough schedule. I've mentioned this before. The schedule's easier or it seems like it's gotten easier. But then again, you don't know what it's going to be because Miami's not as big, bad Miami we thought they would be by year 3. UCF has fallen off a little bit, obviously, even though they had that big win. Mississippi State and Texas A&M are both on the schedule, both going to have brand new coaches early in their careers. No telling who they're going to be, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But look, it's pretty clear. If he's not going to make any changes, he's not going to do anything that you see different next year. It better work. And now it better work next year. And I'm not saying he's got to be in the playoffs. I'm saying he better be in consideration for the playoffs. And he better be in that 8-win category. We can't be talking about bowl eligibility in the middle of November. Okay. Today is November 16th. I'm pretty good on the month of November. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you. I've got a cool shirt here, huh? My oldest daughter sent it to me from St. Andrews. She was visiting over there, so I've got a St. Andrews shirt. Maybe as close as I ever get to it. Well, I'm starting to think I might try something. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about. And that is Florida fans are showing their support. 9th sellout. Now, a lot of it has to do, not a lot of it, but some of it has to do with who you're playing, where. I mean, obviously, playing Tennessee and FSU at home, you expect to sell those out. But this is 9 sellouts for Florida at a time when college football was supposed to be fading, and it's not. And it's not fading here, guys. Okay, the team may be fading, the defense may be fading, but the support is there. So let's get it right, and let's go forward. Again, I just think if you're not going to change anything, you're going to keep everything the same with special teams. You're going to keep everything the same way with the offensive coordinator, with you being the offense, you calling the plays. You're going to keep everybody on defense. You're not going to change anything. If that's the way you want to do it, then it's your deal. It's your deal, man. And if it doesn't work out next year, I'm not going to be standing up there, you got to give Billy Napier another year. If he goes 6-7 again, or 5-7, which they're heading for this year, No, then I'm just like, his thing isn't going to work in this league, but it might. And like I said, the schedule may not be as tough as we thought, and maybe they do get enough good players in here that they're better. And these freshmen become sophomores, and well, they will, but they become sophomores and they become really good players. So we'll see what happens. But again, he is, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's buying the groceries, the old Parcells line. And so he's going to do it his way. And if he doesn't want to change anything, then he's liable for it. We'll see how it goes. So number 3 on the process service of Gainesville starting 5. And I did want to talk a little bit about Missouri. Missouri's got a really good football team. Are they a playoff team? Obviously not. They've got 2 losses, but I mean, their 2 losses were to Georgia and to LSU. LSU, we just saw that offense, how ridiculous it is. I mean, and they just blasted Tennessee. You watched that game probably. It was embarrassing how bad Tennessee was in that game. They're a really good football team. They got a good quarterback in Brady Cook. Cody Schrader is leading the SEC in rushing. They've got receivers. Luther Burden is really good. This other kid, Meese, I blanked on his name for a minute, is really good as their number 2 receiver. They've got it all, and you got to give them credit. Again, Drinkwitz is kind of the same coach that Florida hopes they're going to have in year 4, right? Because Drinkwitz I think he was 5-5 in the COVID year, and then 6-7, 6-7. Well, at Missouri, that's not too bad. Everybody's okay. You go 8-2 like they're going this year, probably going to beat Florida, probably going to beat Arkansas to close the year. 10 wins. And again, if that's what Napier is able to do, Gator fans are going to be howling. They're going to be happy. And guess what? Timing's not good for Drinkwitz, but for Napier, you're in the playoffs at 10-2. You don't even have to play in your conference championship game. So but the point I was trying to make, they're a really good team. It's not about the stadium. The stadium is weird. It's different. It's not like anything else you see, but it's not about that. I'm going to say this one more time, and I'm not going to say it anymore. Okay. Florida's lost 3 games in that stadium ever. Okay. 3 games. One was the week their coach got fired and Jim McElwain. One was the week their coach was about to get fired and did the next day. Those are 2 of the 3 losses. One of them, they just went up there and didn't play good. But it's not about, we never play good in Missouri. I'm tired of hearing that story. It's not true. All right, let's get to number 4, which is jobs. There are jobs that are open. And I'm trying to figure out how it's going to go in terms of ranking if you're trying to figure out what's the best job out there. Well, Texas A&M, and Pat Forty wrote a really good column about this from Sports Illustrated. I love Pat's work. How good is A&M? Is it really good because you have unlimited resources, or not so good because people expect more than anybody's been able to deliver? Their only national championship came in 1938. They haven't won a conference championship since they were in the Big 12. And they haven't won many. I think they've won 3 of those. Texas A&M, there's something about it. Maybe it's buried on an old Indian burial ground or something. Maybe they need to stop doing those cheers, those weird cheers that they do. But for some reason, nobody's ever had great success there. R.C. Slocum had good success there. Nobody's ever had great success. They brought in Jimbo. They wanted great success. We expected. Had the plaque. The year he was going to win the national title. We're ready to engrave it on there. Never came close. I don't know what it is about that place, but it's people are all friendly. They got a great stadium, great fans. Just can't seem to get it done. Need the right guy to come in there, but they haven't been able to find the right guy. And I don't know who the right guy is. This Dan Campbell thing, it keeps coming up. I don't think people understand how much better it is to be an NFL coach than a college coach. And you guys all know me. College football is what I live for. It's my favorite sport. Not even close. But the NFL is the king. In the NFL, you can, we're going to give them a lot of money. Okay, fine. To come and what? Get fired in 4 years? You don't have to recruit. You have to deal with NIL. it's a better job. I'm sorry, guys. It just is. Now you do get fired quickly there. And then, maybe you do something else, but I mean, he's got things rolling there. I don't know where they're going to go. I do have some ideas, but and what's the Michigan State, with UCLA? Is the UCLA going to open? Where does that put them in? It feels like, and of course, Mississippi State, as we know, is open. Boise State's open. It feels like it's a lot of jobs that feel like they're better than they probably are. But when you examine them, none of them are really great jobs. Does that make any sense? Because I think even the A&M job is in that category. Not sure it's a great job. It's a good job. You're in the SEC. You're in the toughest division in college sports. I mean, now you're not going to be going forward. There'll be no divisions. But now, here's a good thing. You're not having to play just teams from the West now. Now you get to play teams from the East. Oh, yeah, by the way, there is no East, there is no West. And Texas and Oklahoma are coming in. And you still have Georgia, Alabama, LSU. And our bad teams are Kentucky, Florida, Our teams that are really struggling. Ole Miss. Ole Miss isn't struggling, but that's my point. There are no easy schedules to come, believe me. All right, and then finally, number 5, I did want to mention, certainly on the process service of Gainesville starting 5, Gator basketball tomorrow night, Friday night. They play FSU, be a good indicator. FSU's only played 2 games. They played Kennesaw and Central Michigan, blew them both out. They may have a good team. I don't know. It's a lot of transfers and a lot of guys who played last year but really weren't that. They had a struggle last year. Darren Green is their leading scorer, 17 points a game. He's hit 7 threes already. He's a kid that transferred not this year, but I think last year from UCF. But it'll be fun to see where they are and see what they're able to do because, look, they did a lot of good things against Virginia. Not enough. They got to get better, and they know that. And if you don't get better, you're going to lose, and you're not going to get to the tournament. This is a big game for Florida. And again, this is the second of 4 games they're playing against ACC teams before the conference schedule starts. You can't do any worse than 2-2, and you're already 0-1. So this is an important game for Florida. And again, of course, Florida beat them last year. They weren't very good last year. They struggled, had some suspensions and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. And it'll be a lot of fun to watch. All right. That is going to do it for our process service of Gainesville starting 5. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the great Caleb Sturgis, All-American boy and All-American kicker, and also the son of one of my best friends in high school. We'll talk about Smiley Sturgis as well. We'll be back with more here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios.
This week, the Gainesville Quarterback Club welcomes the HBC himself, Coach Steve Spurrier. Can't wait to hear what Coach has to say about this season. For more information on how you can become a new member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, email membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org.
Process Service of Gainesville offers a rapid turnaround on affidavits of service for Gator lawyers locally and nationwide. Our friend Scott Hart offers immediate responses on status requests and is a member of NAPS and FATS. And he has been a part of the community for almost 2 decades. Need service? Call Process Service of Gainesville at 407-697-9592 or email shartgators, that's G8TR, @yahoo.com. And make sure you ask about the Paralegal Legal Secretary Bonus Program.
The Kiara Grace Foundation proudly presents An Evening with Tim Tebow, Thursday, November 30th at the Touchdown Terrace at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Experience a once-in-a-lifetime VIP meet and greet with Tim. Hear his heartfelt stories and his unyielding dedication to the most vulnerable. With your support, we can extend the reach of the Kiara Grace Foundation to save precious lives in Latin America. Get your ticket before they sell out. Don't miss your chance to meet Tim Tebow, be inspired, and make a tangible difference.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 280 discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by our good friends at Titan MRI and coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios today. It's a great pleasure to bring on a fellow Yellow Jacket, and Caleb Sturgis, of course, also was an All-American, but his real fame came as a Yellow Jacket. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Pat. I think a little known fact is we went 3-0 against Tebow. Or maybe it is a well-known fact if you watch some of his high school documentaries, but a lot of great times at St. Augustine High School. Yeah,
and that's where, of course, I went, Robbie went, and Brandon James went. All the cool kids went to St. Augustine High.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your career in Florida. And obviously, when you were recruited by Urban Meyer, what went into all that? What went into the recruiting part of it?
Yeah, so he probably didn't have to spend quite as much time on me. My mom was a Florida Gator, so grew up huge Gator fans. Always tried to tune in as much as possible on Saturdays when I wasn't at soccer games or my siblings' soccer games. But yeah, I didn't start kicking until my sophomore year of high school. Didn't really even know it was a possibility that they scholarship kickers. But after that sophomore year, knew pretty quickly I'd have a chance at this. Got really fortunate that it timed up well with when the Gators were looking to scholarship a guy. And then I believe my area scout or coach at the time was Greg Madison, the defensive line coach. So he came by and visited the high school, came and tried out for Coach Meyer at one of the summer kicking camps. They kind of brought a few guys over to the side of who they were interested in, and that ended up offering me that day.
So that was a no-brainer. I mean, you were definitely going to Florida, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I had some other good options, but it was just one of those things. Grew up a Gator, and at the time too, I mean, how could you turn it down? We won the championship in 2006. We're going into the 2007 season. All the hype around Tebow. Bunch of stars on the team. Brandon James had just left high school to go there. Jacquez Rickerson. I mean, there were just so many things going for Florida at the time.
Yeah, and obviously they kept going. In fact, you were part of an unbeaten team during the regular season, but with the field goal you kicked, and all I could think about when Trey Smack was lining his up, I go, well, it's happened before. Because Caleb did it against Arkansas.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy that it came down to a similar situation. His was a little further, a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I was trying to remember how long yours was. Like,
it was like 27, 28. It was pretty short. Felt long at the time. First kick. Kind of a very similar road as Trey, in the sense that both of us did kickoffs our freshman year, and had to beat out a guy coming back who was coming off a pretty good season, and both of us got our starts at Tennessee. So it's funny seeing a lot of similarities and kind of career trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, and I mentioned this, actually Judd Davis and I were talking about it, and I said, when he kicked that, I go, I think he just didn't follow through, and that's where the pressure kind of comes in. Well, people say, how do you feel pressure? And I think kickers feel, it's like golf. When you're swinging the club and you got a big shot, what do? You block it out to the right just a little bit, and that's a difference in it. I mean, did you ever have that problem where you would leave it out because you were? I know you didn't miss a lot of kicks, but
I missed my fair share, more than Trey has. But no, I mean, that can certainly happen, and maybe that was what happened. I will give Trey a ton of credit this year. I think things that go unnoticed by people that don't understand kicking is, in my opinion, the operation has not been great. This entire, I think we've had 2, maybe 3 bad snaps.
Right.
Those ones where we didn't get the kick off. There's been other ones that I think, make it tough. So from a rhythm standpoint, makes it extremely tough to get in a good rhythm because the ball's hitting the ground at a different time. Every time you get a little bit, I think we had a bad snap in that exact game. So is the ball going to get down? So I think just a little adds a little bit more to think about an already really tough position. On top of that, you had the whole kind of debacle with the guys running on the field. It probably got the heart rate jumping a little bit more than what he would in a full situation. I mean, he seems so calm, cool, and collected that I don't think too much bothers him. But there's definitely more than a normal 42-yard kick game winner that he was dealing with.
Yeah. Again, Caleb Sturgis coming to us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. And I did want to talk to you about that for you when you went through the whole thing with Urban leaving twice. Yeah, he had to leave twice to leave. But what was that like for you to be going through that? You're like, I wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, kind of the emotional side after the 2009. We're all sitting in the team meeting room, and obviously extremely disappointed after the Alabama game, but still, at the time we lost one game in our last 20 or something like that. So to think that he's going to walk away from that, and then so much unknown for us going forward, and then the offseason was so strange too that he's still around, just not around as much. We don't know what he's probably going to come back, but at what point. And then to me, I was talking to some friends about this. I think one of the most impressive things is he put together one of the best classes ever, all while being semi-retired. It's just, it was just wild times.
No, it was crazy. There's no doubt about it. And it was just weird. Hey, by the way, I wanted to let people know what you're doing now, because we all know that you were in the NFL for a while and did really well there, but one of the greatest kickers to ever kick here in Florida. But I know you were in the banking business for a little while, loan business, right?
Yeah. So I did a little bit in real estate here, and developed some really good relationships with some of the agents and all, and do a decent amount of hard money lending, especially with the interest rates having gone up so high, real estate market being hot, which is kind of a niche that I found and I enjoyed doing with understanding the market here in Gainesville. But I'm in the process now of finishing my exams to do financial advising.
Cool. Well, that's great. And it's great that you're living in Gainesville, man. We love you having you here.
Yeah, the family loves it. We have 3 kids here. Go to games every Saturday, season tickets for gymnastics, just so much to do. And my one daughter just entered the
yeah, well, that's what happens when you have 3 kids, right? You never know when a hand's going to come out and grab you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about you settling here, and so many people who do settle here. I mean, obviously, you see them all the time, guys like Beatty and everybody, but Gainesville really does kind of bring people back here.
It really does. I have a number of former teammates. I know James Smith just moved back. Chris Montato has been a good friend for many years. He's a walk-on linebacker. It really is a great place. There's great schools, great community. It's almost 2 different lifestyles too. Of when I was in school, never went west of 75, and now I rarely go east of 75 other than for teams and things like that. But it's been awesome seeing the growth here in Gainesville and the community.
Hey, when you are watching these games and you go to these games, there's a lot of chatter and a lot of noise in the system about special teams, and nobody's saying Trace Mack's doing anything wrong or Jeremy Crawshaw, but there's obviously some things that aren't. I mean, they're just not quite clicking, and there's always seems to be one big mistake in every game. What are you just sitting in the stands? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's just, to me, there's things that happen, right? They're unfortunate, but you kind of deal with it. To me, in the first game, right? The number thing should never happen, right? If you're going to have 2 guys with the same number, there's got to be somebody on the field that is monitoring that, or on the bench monitoring that. Having 8 guys run out on field goal block, like there's got to be somebody monitoring that, and especially if it happens more than once, right? Other things, punt returner catching the ball inside the 10. To me, when you put a dynamic guy back there, I think he was a freshman. In high school, he probably never got caught, so he's gonna try to field balls and do a little extra in that situation. And those things I think you live with and you teach, and they shouldn't happen again. But it's the consistent kind of gaffes that are really costing us that you kind of scratch your head about. Just the last one at Arkansas, running all the guys out there, they don't have somebody explaining to the 6 guys running on the field that under no circumstance are you running out here right now. It's second down. We're going to clock it if it's before the first down anyway. So just surprising things. I think disappointing things. I'm sure they'll be addressed in the off season. I think Coach Napier is a systematic guy, and he's going to address those.
Yeah, absolutely. He need better. There's things they've got to do better. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Caleb, you lived through this time when you guys win the national championship. You win it. The next in 2009, you're undefeated going into that Alabama game. Even in 10, there were some great games. I mean, you went through all this stuff, but did you ever think you would get to a point where Florida potentially is going to have 3 straight losing seasons for the first time since 1947?
No, I never would have seen it coming. Just again because the recruiting. I think Coach Meyer said it recently. The recruiting here. You just should be able to get good players. I think we compensate our coaches well. And we play in the East. I think there's a few years in the West where it could have been tough. So I think between all those things, I would definitely not have seen this coming. It's funny thinking back in my time. At one point, I thought we were never going to lose until we lost at Alabama. It just seems so easy. The expectations seem so high. So it's definitely different seeing it from this perspective, but something I think almost every fan base has gone through at some point.
Oh yeah. I remember in 2010 going to the game and we landed and I get a call from somebody and they go, Caleb Sturgis hurt his back. He's not going to play today. I went, oh God, they're really in trouble now. I thought they were in trouble anyway. That was hard for you to miss that good part of that season.
Yeah, I've dealt with my fair share of injuries throughout my entire career, high school, college, NFL, and it's a very isolated feeling, playing, being a part of something, and then having to sit out. I think a lot of guys go through it. Obviously, it's a very physical sport, probably not as much kickers usually, but it was definitely a really tough time. It came out my sophomore year, did a decent job, hit some big kicks. It was part of a program that, again, felt like we were never going to lose. And then going into that 2010 year, started off poorly, had a back injury, not knowing if I'd really play again. So,
it's, hey, by the way, I wanted to ask you about your dad because I don't know how many people know this, but your dad and I were a bit like best friends in high school and junior college at St. John's. We still haven't figured out why they're called the Vikings. But how is he doing?
He's doing really good. I know he ran something like 9+ miles a day for 40 years. So his body is definitely not in as good of shape now. He's got a little bit of a leg limp, but mentally everything like that, still doing great. Still the head pastor at Good News Church in St. Augustine. Going to get to see him actually here for Thanksgiving. All but one of the 6 kids will be together, so it'll be really good to see everybody.
So did he just turn 69 too? Because I just turned 69 Tuesday.
I think so. 68.
Somewhere in that area.
He's an August birthday, so he may have just turned.
Yeah. Well, we were in the same class, so that's good to hear. All right, well, it's time for us to play Yes, No, or Maybe with Caleb Sturgis, All-American kicker. And he'll answer these questions, yes, no, or maybe. It's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. If you go in there and you say, hey, I would like to get fries in my order, and I listen to another Dooley podcast, you get free fries with the order. So how about that? We appreciate our friends at Big Mills Cheesesteak. All right, number 1, you have beaten your dad, Smiley Sturgis, in tennis.
No.
He's pretty good, isn't he? Or he was pretty good. I don't know if he plays anymore.
Yeah, I'll beat him in pickleball every time, but
he was he played for the St. John's Community College Viking tennis team.
Yeah, I played at Flagler as well. He also beat FSU in something. So
That's always good.
Yeah.
That's always good. All right, number 2 on Yes, Nowhere. Maybe you proposed to Kimberly with a box of cupcakes.
Yes.
That really did happen, huh?
That really did.
Now, why the cupcakes?
That's a good question. I mean, there was also a ring, but she definitely has a sweet tooth. Her dad owns a candy factory in Winter Haven, Florida, right off 27 in Dundee, and yeah, she's always loved sweets. We've got some Gigi's cupcakes, and yeah, just made for a special day.
Now, you met her here in Florida, right? She was a cheerleader?
I did, yep. Yeah, she was a cheerleader. We met my sophomore year.
Wow, cool. A lot of guys end up marrying cheerleaders. I wonder why that is. Maybe because they're the most athletic and prettiest ones. That could have something to do with it. All right, and finally on Yes, Nowhere, maybe you can kick a soccer ball further than anybody in your family. That's a hard one because your brother's a professional soccer player.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think if I would hit it right-footed, I would give myself a maybe right there. I'd have a chance. And well, so honestly, my oldest brother, so Nathan's directly older than me. He can. He was only played 11 years in MLS, but my oldest brother played soccer at Flagler, and he may have had the best leg out of all of us. So
really,
he's the one I may have been more worried about. But left-footed, Nathan's kind of like 100% right, 90% left. So he would destroy me left-footed. But I'll give myself a maybe on the soccer ball.
All right, that's good, maybe. Well, Caleb, it's always great talking to you, man. I see you at the gym every once in a while, and it's great to have you in our community, and great to have those wonderful kids here too. And say hi to your dad for me at Thanksgiving. Tell him I was thinking about him. And great. Thank you so much for joining us today on another Dooley Noted podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it, Pat, and look forward to doing it again.
All right, we'll be back with more on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. Really appreciate Caleb Sturgis coming on the show. Great guy, and of course, like I said, I love it when people settle here and you can see them all the time, and you'll run into them in the gym or out to eat and stuff. And again, Caleb Sturgis is in that argument for best kicker ever at Florida. I know that. When I've talked to Judd about it, he goes, it's really him and McPherson, and then you get to Chandler, all-time lead scorer. It's a good argument. So anyway, but we appreciate Caleb coming on again. Monday, Coach Spurrier on Wednesday, special Thanksgiving show, our 300th show. Be joined by Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, and then Coach Spurrier, and then Brandon Spikes the following Thursday. So good shows lined up, man. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke three things. And as you know, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation law and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their 5-star Google reviews. Set an appointment at hklawfl. Let's try it again. Set an appointment at hklawfl.com. Or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. So let's get to the three things. Number one, it is official that the A's are moving to Vegas. I don't think anybody thought they weren't, but it is kind of sad because now the owners have given them the okay. It is kind of sad when a franchise leaves, but I mean, I've been to that stadium, man. It is bad. It's nasty. It was nasty in '84 when I went there with the Jacksonville Bulls, or it might have been '85. Yeah, it was bad then, and from everything I've heard, it hadn't gotten any better. But look, everybody's moving to Vegas, and it makes a lot of sense now that gambling is run amok and everything. Might as well go to Vegas. Might as well be in the middle of it. But Vegas is changed as a city too. But now you've obviously got the NHL, you've got the WNBA, you've got the NFL, which is the kingpin. That's the one you want to have. And now you'll have Major League Baseball. So again, they've got to build the stadium and everything, but we'll see what happens. But first team to move since the 2005 when the Nationals moved from Montreal. So, hey, Vegas is what it is. People are going there. I know my wife was just there. It is what it is. Let's get to number two on Hesser and Kipke's three things, and that is a movement. I don't want to say movement. It was recommended by the people who do the recommending. It hasn't been passed yet, that the pitch clock drop from 20 seconds to 18 seconds with runners on base. And the reason is that later in the season, as games got tighter and more important, the games went longer, and which you would expect. Your third game of the year is probably not going to be your longest game, and that's just a weird game. So they're talking about doing that. They're talking about moving everybody 2 seconds. I don't know. Does it make a difference? To me, you let everybody get used to the pitch clock for a few years and before you quickly start changing it. That seems to be a little bit weird. But anyway, that's what they're talking about doing. If they do it, I hope the Braves respond. That's all I can say. All right, finally, number three on Hesser and Kipke's three things, the NCAA denying James Madison to be able to play in their playoff. Of course, they'd be in the Sun Belt playoff. They're undefeated right now. Also, not allowing Jacksonville State and Tarleton, I think, was the other school. Even though the rule is, if you move to Division I, you can't. The first couple of years, you can't play in the playoffs or anything like that. And I understand why there's a rule like that, but it seems silly to keep an undefeated undefeated James Madison, which is really a good team. Their coach is Signetti is 62, so I don't think anybody's coming after him, but he's doing a heck of a job there. But look, there are 82 bowl spots. They can still play in a bowl. So if the Gasparilla Bowl wants James Madison, and some bowl's probably going to do it. Now, I don't know what their fan base is like, whether it does you any good, but your ratings might be pretty good if you matched up, say, James Madison and Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. I'm just saying, I know that I'm just talking out loud off the top of my head, but I'd watch that game. I'd be curious to see how good they are. But NCAA denied them. Again, 82 spots for bowl games. I think James Madison does, and there aren't enough. Right now, it doesn't appear there are going to be enough teams to fill. In fact, that may be Florida's hope. They go 5-7, but their APR is so high they get first dibs. I don't know that I'd want to see this team playing a bowl if they were 5-7, but we'll see what happens. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. Let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club. Great picks. Great to see Buddy Martin there Tuesday night. I forgot my phone there, too. On my birthday, I forgot my phone. How about that? So I didn't see all those wonderful greetings until the next day. I had to go back the next morning. But this week, the HBC. So he'll be with us Monday, and then Quarterback Club on Tuesday. That'll be a lot of fun. I got to come up with something good to introduce him. Some story I have yet to tell about Coach Spurrier. Anyway, let's see what we do in the picks this week. I'm taking the Gators with 11. I think it's a lot of points. Missouri is a good team. I just talked about how good they are. I think Florida's going to keep playing hard. I think they can come within 11. So I'm going to take the Gators and take the 11 points. And I've got something in my eye. There we go. All right. And I'm going to take Miami giving one against Louisville. The game's in Miami. I'm not a believer in Louisville, and I may be after this game. I'll be rooting like heck for them, as you know. But I'm taking Miami. I'm taking Georgia, giving 10.5 at Tennessee. Seems like a lot of points, but you all know how this game's going to go. It's going to be a battle early, and then all of a sudden Georgia's going to get ahead, and then somebody will turn it over, and they'll win by 14. That's the way it'll go. They may win by more than that, but this game will not come down to the last 10 minutes. I promise you that. And that's the one thing that is wrong with college football. It isn't NIL. It isn't transfer portal. It's not realignment. It's that there are too many. There are these good teams that just don't go bad. They haven't gone bad for a long time. We need them to go bad. I've said this before. If it's Georgia FSU for the national championship, I don't think I can watch it. I think I'll just throw up all day. All right, UCLA is getting 7 at USC now. Chip Kelly gets fired if they lose this game, according to sources. But I don't know. If he does get fired, it'd probably be for more than his win-loss record. But again, that's another one of those jobs that's a weird job, because how good is that job? Oh, it's Los Angeles, man. You got all these opportunities. Yeah, you're like the 10th biggest sport. I can go through the list. Dodgers, Lakers, USC, obviously. There are so many things that matter there that aren't UCLA football. UCLA basketball is probably a bigger deal than UCLA football. But that's what he wanted. That's what Chip Kelly wanted. He did not want, as he told Scott Strickland, to be the mayor of Florida or the governor of Florida, whatever he said. He didn't want to be that famous. So it probably wouldn't have worked out here anyway, but it didn't. I'm going to take USC and give the 7. I think UCLA may lay down in this game. And then finally, Kentucky giving 2 to South Carolina. Might be a tough game to watch, but I'll try to watch it anyway. I think these are 2 of the more disappointing teams in the league. And Vanderbilt would be up there too. And Texas A&M. There's a lot of, but that's what I said before the season. I said, look, what is it? 64 games that involve SEC versus SEC during the year, however many it is. That means you're going to have, maybe it's 54. That means you're going to have 54 losers. 54 teams are going to lose. Everybody loses every game. Some teams lose more than others, but somebody loses every game is the way I should have said that. Okay. All right, let's get to that's our Gainesville Quarterback Club great picks. Look forward to being out there Tuesday night to see Coach Spurrier. And then they only have one more to go, the holiday party, which is always a blast. All right, let's get to our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the week. And, I didn't even make it the leading scorer for the women in their win over Florida A&M. I made it Layla Reynolds, who was second leading scorer, but she was a big-time recruit, big get for Kelly Ray Finley Monday night against FAMU. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 8 for 11, 6'1" guard, big-time recruit, and looks like she's going to play up to it. And she is our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the week. And Layla, well done. You don't get anything for it, by the way. But if you want me to, I will buy you a Adams Ribco to go barbecue sandwich anytime. Maybe I should just go buy a bunch for the women's basketball team. I could do that. It wouldn't even be that hard. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. We appreciate Kyle Cohen over at Leonardo's and Millhopper. We're going to make it very simple. Florida FSU basketball, that's one. The other one, Florida, Missouri. You're getting 11 points with Florida if you take them. You're giving 11 points with Missouri. So those are the two. Florida, FSU, I don't know what the spread is. I don't care. That game, you just pick the game, okay? Pick who wins, who loses. And it's kind of hard getting spreads sometimes with basketball. I didn't even realize this because not being a gambler that they don't come out well in advance. They come out the day of the game. So, but anyway, Florida FSU basketball, Florida, Missouri giving 11. Those are the two picks on Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. We got a bunch of. I got to start jogging some of this stuff down from the last picks that we did. Let's get to our swamp games of the weekend. And don't forget, start off with the fact Florida State and Florida are on at 7. That is on the SEC network. If you get the SEC network, which I think most of you do, that is on at 7 o'clock Friday night. The women are on at 4 o'clock Friday night, but it is on the Plus only. So if you have the Plus, you can watch it. So that's what you have on Friday. Of course, we have an NFL game tonight. Ought to be a good one. Looking forward to that. But let's give you what we always do on Thursday. We give you the noons, the 3:30, and the 7:30 games you need to watch. Now, again, Florida plays at 7:30. Florida's game is on ESPN, I believe. Yes. So that game is at 7:30. But the noon game, I'm telling you, the noon schedule is the worst I've seen all year. It is the worst. I don't know why. It's just not good. The best game that I could find was Louisville, Miami. And that's not even a good game. This is Louisville, Miami. The get-in price is $9. Let's all go to Miami and root for Louisville. I think I still have a Louisville t-shirt somewhere. Some other time they beat FSU. Anyway, so that's the best noon game. It's really a dreadful schedule. There is a 2:30 game to pay attention to, Washington and Arizona. But you have to have the Pac-12 network for that. But that is a good game. That should be fun to watch. 3:30, North Carolina at Clemson is probably the best game. I mean, you could say it's Georgia, Tennessee, and it should be, but it's not. We all know what's going to happen. All right, I'll say Georgia, Tennessee on CBS. But North Carolina, Clemson is the one I'm going to have the sound up on ESPN. And then 7:30 is Washington at Oregon State. I said that wrong before. It was Utah at Arizona. I got to start reading my writing better. Was a 2:30 game. 7:30, Washington at Oregon State ought to be a good one. That's on ABC. That's probably the best game of the weekend. It's a weird schedule because a lot of schools are playing softies because they've got a rivalry game next week. Florida's playing the number 13 team in the country. That's not good schedule. Anyway, that is our Swamp Restaurant games of the weekend, and you go to the Swamp Restaurant this weekend and get Sangria Saturday stuff. Oh, there's just so much stuff, so many things to get there, and have fun. Have fun before you go home for the holidays at the Swamp Restaurant. Let's get to this, that, and the other, which is brought to you as always by Dar Shakow Insurance, by Ballyhoo Grill, and by Ironwood Golf Course. All three things are important in my life. Let us start off with this. This is that Mississippi State, in a little bit of a surprise, fired Zach Arnett, of course, on Monday. And I was a little stunned by that one. I was like, God, man, you give the guy 10 games? Well, it's not working. There's apparently some stuff behind the scenes. There's always something behind the scenes, because 90% of business that goes on with coaches and ADs happens behind the scenes. It doesn't happen in front of people. It happens behind the scenes, and there's a lot, and boosters and everything. So most stuff happens behind the scenes. So anyway, that was this. So that was immediately Dan Mullen's name came up. Oh, Dan Mullen. They may go back to Dan Mullen. Do you think they would go back to Dan Mullen? I don't know if they would or not. Do you think they'll do? Well, Dan Mullen seemed, well, yeah, he's the winningest coach, blah, blah. So that was the other, or that was that. And then the other, he was asked about it on Sirius Radio, and here was his answer. Well, it was a non-answer. He said, yeah, you never say never. I don't know if this is the right time. That sounds like somebody who wants to renegotiate his ESPN contract to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, that's this, that, and the other. I hated to mention Dan Mullen's name there. All right. Finally, we wrap it up with Pat Dooley's Storytime, brought to you by our great friends at Eastlake Pediatrics, Mike Jordan, and the folks down there. And we always have fun with Pat Dooley's Storytime. This one is going to be, a lot of you hear me or talk or see me, right, or have heard me on radio or whatever, talk about how I really hate going to Missouri games. I don't have to do that anymore. It's the best part of being retired, semi-retired. Nothing wrong with the people there. Nothing wrong with them at all. Nothing wrong with the city, actually. Columbia's fine. It's nothing special, but it's fine. College campus and everything. It's just where it is. And that's what made it so miserable all the time. So you can fly to St. Louis, you can fly to Kansas City. Either way, you're 2-hour drive. And obviously, if you play a noon game, that means it's 11 o'clock there, you're getting up and it's dark out when you're leaving. It's dark out when you're coming home too, but the worst was when we would have these 2-hour drives, and there is nothing between Columbia, Missouri and St. Louis, Missouri. There is nothing. It is worse than that drive on I-10. But anyway, so this one year, we have somebody riding with us on the way back, and it's a late game, and by the time we get in the car, I think it's like 2 in the morning, 1:30, and so now we got a 2-hour drive, and all I want to do is sleep. But I've got this issue and behind my leg, and it's like some kind of I don't even know what it is. It's just sore and it hurts and it feels nasty and everything. So we drive back, and for 2 hours, this human being talked. Never shut up, never didn't say anything, was always talking, and I am just miserable. I've never been more miserable in my life. But we got home, got back to the hotel, got to the doctor. As soon as I landed, went right to the emergency room. Dr. Yuck, who I tell him he saved my life, he shrugs it off, but I had a MRSA infection is what I ended up having. And he kept me in there for 5 days. Well, it didn't keep me in there, but I was in there for 5 days, and I would have these IVs and everything. I watched Steve Spurrier's resignation speech in there. I think that same Monday was the Will Greer suspension and Sarkisian getting fired and Spurrier leaving. I think all those things happened. And I was like, man, I wish I was working, but I've got a MRSA infection. Anyway, it all worked out in the end, and I never have to go back to Columbia, Missouri. Again, nothing wrong with the people there. Nothing wrong with the architecture. It's beautiful, all the columns. Nothing wrong with the football stadium. it's just too far. It's not in anything. It's not in anywhere. I know everybody says Jefferson City's close by, but I've never been able to find it. Anyway. But that's going to do it for Pat Dooley's Storytime, and it's going to do it for our show. It's going to do it for Zach for doing a great job. We appreciate him as always. Thanks so much to Caleb Sturgis for being on the show today. And again, Monday, Coach Spurrier will be joining us. And then on Wednesday, special 300th show, Thanksgiving show, Greg Sankey will be joining us. Until then, all these things happen. Till all these things happen. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.